Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Made it to the destination that I was headed to yesterday. I'm very much appreciating being in a domicile, sitting on a really comfortable bed. There's some cats around, little energy healers. And yeah, noticing some blocks to receiving coming up and kind of being released, and slowly, and kind of going in and out of this, but slowly just allowing myself to really relax here and just receive and allow myself to be supported by life. And that can be hard for me sometimes. Sometimes it's like I can be supported by life on my ego's terms, right? But I can't allow support in that may create a sense of shame in the ego structure, or a sense of, just sometimes receiving, we can have shame around it, the sense of unworthiness, the sense of I'm bad, I need to go prove myself and receive support this way, and then I can feel good about receiving it. But just to receive it sometimes can be hard. Something that I've struggled with and kind of fought with, but it seems to be getting easier for me just to feel through those wounds. And I think it's a lot of the masculine wound for me when it comes to like, I've gotta suffer and struggle enough and then I can receive. And don't get me wrong, this is gonna sound insane, but I love suffering and struggling because it does help me grow so much, and it does help dissolve so much of the paradigm, that egoic centric paradigm of chasing pleasure and pushing away pain. I love how struggling and suffering helps me root deeper into my true self, and how it just breaks the mind. Like when I'm suffering my ass off, it's just like my mind just breaks. Suffering and struggling for me over and over again, it's just broken me open. And so there's an appreciation for it. But when support comes in, there can be resistance to it at first. And I think there's just a lot going on with this soul connection that I'm participating in right now. There's a lot of fire in it, but it's also very yin. We're both very yin beings, which is nice. A lot of the soul connections I've experienced up until this point, it's more like I've been yin and they've been yang. And that kind of contrast and polarity has been its own challenge and its own journey, and has been difficult in its own way. But there's an appreciation for this one, that it's very yin centric. And when you're in a space with another, like, kind of soul connection, soul being, sharing a space, you're going to feel each other's energy, and you're going to create this kind of field together to exist in. And that field's going to teach you things. It's going to bring up stuff. There was at one point at like 4 a.m, my mind was just having a hard time, and I was almost at this point to tell this connection, like, hey, this is just too much fire for me. It's just, I just can't do this. But my mind like wanted to do that over and over again, and I could feel where that kind of desire was coming from. It was like the mind is like, I just can't take this, it's too much. But I could feel like my deeper being, my deeper self wouldn't let it happen. My deeper self was just like not moving, was immovable. You'll notice that when you're in difficult circumstances, but you're meant to be there, your mind will fight it like crazy. Your mind will say, get me the fuck out of here. I don't like this. I don't like how this feels. I want to get to a place where I'm not feeling this. But if you're meant to be in that circumstance and it's helping you grow, you'll notice, like, in your depths, like your in your energetic self, you could say, your soul will be like kind of unmoved. Your soul will stay rooted in it. Your soul is is appreciating the alchemy, is appreciating how what's happening, is digesting that part of you that wants to run. And I've ran so many times from all kinds of things that after a while, it just gets harder and harder to run. Because the runner in you starts dissolving, and it's just more like you're just one with life. And so that one that wants to run doesn't have as much, he, she, if we want to name it like a personality or whatever, it can't pull the body as much as it once could. Kundalini awakening, it just gobbles up the separate self that's trying to whatever, live its own life of pleasure and avoid pain, right? It just gobbles that one up. And so that one kept coming up, and it just couldn't move the body. And it was kind of interesting to watch. It was just like, no, that's not the truth. I could just feel like that's not true to eject out of this right now. And there was even parts of me that were like, you know, I always try to be willing to do what's true. And I was like, I don't know what's true. Is it true? Should we leave right now? I don't know. There's a cat. They're shy. They're sweet. Yeah, so it was interesting to watch that happen, and to feel like that part, to feel how like it just didn't have power, and then to notice this greater energetic field that I'm in, just holding the body here, and how around whatever, maybe an hour after that, well, there was this process of something just finally like let go and just surrendered to being here, and surrendered to the pain in the heart that it was bringing up, especially the left side. I think there was some feminine pain coming up. You know, the left is the feminine, the right's the masculine, for those of you who are learning that for the first time. And I didn't even know if it was my pain and the soul connection, they were talking about how they felt like they were catalyzing things for me at times too. And I felt like that. I was like, maybe this is kind of their stuff, but I'm just in the field, and we're just doing work, period. And at the end of the day, so much ego dissolves on this path that you stop even, it's not that you don't care, but you stop getting so hooked into, is this mine? Is this theirs? Is this the collective? Is this whoever's? Is this my mom's, my dad's, grandpa's? Is this from 10 lifetimes ago when I was a murderer and a pillager and all that shit, right? And you just realize like this lifetime's going to be about the fucking work. I said that to this person that's sharing so graciously and supportively, sharing their space with me. I said, this work is just going to be forever. And they're like, no, they were like, maybe in a couple thousand years. Like, no, I was like, forever, this lifetime. Like, in this lifetime, it's just alchemy. Fuck. I mean, look at all the shit that needs to be transmuted in this lifetime, you know? And they're like, oh yeah. And I was like, I had this deep appreciation. I'm like, oh, you get it. You're not one of those spiritual people that's thinking that this is just going to end one day and you're just going to feel amazing the rest of your life. Thank God, you know, it's like a real one. So much of spirituality, getting chills saying that, or grace or something. So much of spirituality these days is so whatever, focused on getting somewhere else and being in this feeling state and just being there permanently forever, never going to feel any more pain, never going to suffer anymore, and all that. I wouldn't even call that real spirituality. I would just call that, I don't know, spiritual materialism maybe. Yeah, more grace. I guess that's the right word. And that's fine. That's whatever, go for it. You know, no judgment there. But it was just so nice to find a real one who wasn't using spirituality to try to get out of their suffering, who realized like, oh, no, this is the thing. Like being with this this is the whole thing right now in this lifetime is being, you know, transforming these animal bodies into divine bodies and doing as much as we can in this lifetime to achieve that, and then, you know, reincarnating and keeping that process going. And then, yeah, like they said, yeah, 2,000 to 3,000 years. That seems about right to me. When these bodies that we'll incarnate into, because of the work we're doing now, they'll be much more light. There will be much less trauma in them, much less shadow. Unconscious energies won't be as much of a thing. And there will still always be alchemy happening because we're in an evolutionary realm. And Earth isn't the only evolutionary realm. There are many. But this one is one of the denser ones, especially right now. And so there was just that kind of that beautiful reflection of like, and probably why I feel like I can even be in this space. I'm really selective about where I can even be these days, if I'm being honest, which makes sense. So yeah, there was that kind of like, oh, they get it, and they're here for this. They're here for this, you know, the gunk, the disgust, purging the demons, you know, from human history, whatever, our own lineage, who knows? And I was like, okay, cool. And so, yeah, something broke, like that one that wanted to run from this experience over and over again. And this one was resisting even coming here. It's like something deeper and so much beyond my mind pulled me here and wrote the message that, can I come here? That's just not like what I do at all. And it was so interesting watching that one kind of fall away, and then eventually it just kind of fell off. And then I felt like this goodness come in, and it started to feel so good to be in a bed. And I could feel like how something with the energy shifted, and the energy that was once just feeling so horrible started to feel really, really good. And there was kind of like this divine flow happening. And then I'm feeling another layer of heart pain come up. And I was like, okay, yeah, now we're in a container right now. We're all in a process, but it's like now I feel like I'm in a process within a process, right? And that can be, soul connections can be like that. You could call them, there's plenty of names you could call them, right? But soul family can have both components. They can have that comfort and you feel good around them, or you feel like you can be yourself at least, but they can also be like, okay, we're doing some real work here and a lot's coming up. There's a lot of energy. When there's a lot of energy, of course, there's going to be a lot of alchemy. And it's going to move fast and things are going to shift. And like, you could be feeling bliss and then, oh, wow, now you feel like you're moving something really dense and massive through the heart center again. And yeah, so there was just that appreciation to bring it full circle. Like, yeah, you know, they know that we're here in this life to do this work. And it's just nice. You don't encounter that a lot. It's pretty rare, even in spiritual communities, to find someone who's embracing of darkness, who's embracing of this path of transmuting density into light for as long as it takes. So many people want the quick out. They just want to go find Jesus, and Jesus is going to save them, and they'll never feel pain again. And that's just the same thing that New Age people are doing. It's so interesting how that's a thing. Like, these people who are like, you need Jesus, that's the only thing that's going to save you from darkness and demons. It's so interesting. It's like they're doing the same exact thing that New Age people are doing. When New Age people are like doing that with law of attraction and stuff, I'm getting so many chills and grace. It's like the same exact paradigm. It's just a different kind of names and words and ideologies, but it's the same thing energetically. And a lot of people who are doing that Jesus thing curse the New Age movement, but it's like they're just taking the same personality structure and putting a new costume on it in a way. A lot of them, you know. They're just trying to avoid suffering. Anything where you get dogmatic and tribal and fundamentalist, and you say this is the one and only way, and everything else is that stuff is, that Kundalini is evil. The Craig Holliday said it best. It's just like that can be like just a weak-minded person at the end of the day, and that's okay. There's no judgment there. I've been weak-minded many times on the path myself, so I get it. I've wanted to grab onto stuff to feel safe over and over and over again. It's just like, for whatever reason, I haven't been able to do that. My psyche keeps getting blown up when I try to grab on and create a personality structure around something to feel safe, right? And to protect myself from everything else. For me, it's just been blown wide open, and it just keeps opening more and more and more. Yeah, so no judgment here, but I was even hesitant to say that, what my teacher said about it, because I was like, that's a bit harsh, but there's some truth to it. So whatever, we'll let it be. We'll let it stand. Yeah, I don't like to hurt people, but also sometimes you just gotta tell the truth, right? Anyways, sending you all so much love. Thanks for being here. And yeah, best ways to support this work are with donations. Love to see you in sessions, joining the Patreon, all that good stuff. Okay, until next time, namaste.